Okay, welcome everybody. Last week we did quite a stretchy class, if you can remember, those who were here. So I thought we'd do kind of the opposite, or a complementary class this week. So still, obviously, there'll be stretching, but more about the containment, how we how we resource these big stretchy moves, keeping our integrity. So I thought we could have a little focus on bandhas in particular. I think everybody here is very familiar with bandhas, but just as a reminder, for anyone joining later that isn't so familiar, bandha means energy lock in Sanskrit, and there's many energy locks in the body. It's a way of harnessing and moving and growing our prana, our energy. But we work with three primary ones, I suppose, in our asana practice. Mula Bandha, the root lock, uddiyana Bandha, the flying up lock, and Jalandhara Bandha, the throat lock. So we're going to focus on Mula Bandha and uddiyana Bandha. So change the screen just as a reminder. Mula Bandha is right at the base of the spine. The physical seat, we can learn to connect with it through our pelvic floor. It's actually more subtle, but we'll do a lot of pelvic floor awareness this evening. And uddiyana Bandha, the flying up lock, is just above, really. Below the navel, so it's those deep transverse abdominals, not the superficial six-pack, but really deep and low down. So we're going to find our kind of internal strength and resource so that we can open and feel safe to open from this place. Okay, so let's just start seated. Be comfortable. If you can, if it works for you, you can take this version of Siddhasana, where you've actually got the heel that's closest to you is actually kind of almost touching your groin, your pelvic floor, the pubic bone. So we kind of start to tune into the physical seat of Mula Bandha. If that doesn't work, just cross-legged, anything else, or sit on a bolster. But just take a moment, we'll just spend a few minutes here, just getting still, bringing our awareness inwards, because when we work with bandhas, it's really an inner awareness practice, very subtle practice. So just first of all, wriggling if you need, getting yourself comfortable and moving yourself towards as close to stillness as you can here. And if you feel there's tension in the body, maybe in the shoulders, you might want to just lift the shoulders up to the ears, draw them back and press them down, just to have a sense of releasing some of that superficial held tension around the shoulders. And also you might be holding tension in the face. Just see if you can relax the jaw, the hinge of the jaw. Have a slight upward lift on the corners of the lips maybe, or the hint of that, to smooth out the face muscles. And then we're going to just drop our awareness down towards our lower belly, so below the navel and the pelvic floor. We're going to start with trying to relax this area. So often we're quite tense, tight in the pelvic floor and the deep postural muscles. So just see the postural muscles need to work here to keep us upright, but see if you can just have a sense of the belly relaxing and the pelvic floor relaxing and spreading. Just notice if that makes you feel any less stable in the lower back when we relax. For me, I can feel just a shift in the spine. So from that release, relaxed position, let's just draw it all in again. Feel what that feels like in the lower spine. So just feeling like there's a fleshy corset of muscle around the spine, which includes the transverse abdominals, feeling like you're squeezing the lower spine with the deepest muscles in your belly. You can use the cue of drawing the navel back towards the spine, because this helps squeeze those muscles in. And at the same time, hard to do one without the other really, but focusing also on a subtle activation and lift at the center of the pelvic floor, to the perineum. And it's like these 2 points of Mula Bandha contraction, uddiyana contraction, meet and create this powerhouse within us. So the pelvic floor is lifting upwards, so the perineum is lifting upwards. The deep transverse abdominals are kind of drawing backwards and maybe slightly down. And these two energetic points merge and meet. And just notice how you feel in your spine. Maybe a more supported, maybe a lightness in the upper body when we support the lower back and spine with these deep internal muscles. But eventually, when we work with bandhas, we're working energetically, but the way to start working with them is physically, through the physical body, the physical practice, feeling these areas in the body. So trying to keep those muscles switched on as subtly and as gently as possible, we're going to take our awareness to our breath and start to deepen the breath. This can get quite tricky because if we're activating the seat of mula bandha, uddiyana bandha, then the lower belly is drawing in. So we're not belly breathing, but we still want to fully breathe, and this is possible. If you manage to do this, you'll feel the breath moving more into the upper chest cavity, into the rib cage. And the rib cage can open and close like bellows. Don't worry if you lose the bandha connection, awareness, the belly softens, the pelvic floor drops. Just do what you can, and when you're ready, try to bring it back, the activation. It can be difficult to sustain at first. You have to build up the muscle, like any other muscles. Strength and stamina. You may naturally have gone into Ujjayi breath. If not, if you know Ujjayi breath, the victorious breath, then start to do Ujjayi breath, where we're constricting the muscles in the back of the throat. Creating an audible sound to the breath. Still connecting to mula bandha, uddiyana bandha. And this can be in itself a very powerful meditation. You don't have to be so physical about it. You can let the physical effort go, but keep your awareness in these energetic centers. And just take a couple more slow, deep, full Ujjayi breaths, trying to stabilize the lower belly. So there's almost like this feeling of hollowing in the lower belly. When we draw uddiyana bandha, the flying up lock, in and up. Drawing up on mula bandha. And then just at the end of your next exhale, you can release all of that effort if you wish, or you can, there's an invitation to just, it is possible to do your entire practice with these bandhas switched on. I'm going to keep bringing our awareness back in different postures, but you yourself can also just do your best to keep it switched on. So we're going to come into a back bend, which is the hardest position to keep bandhas switched on, so don't worry if you lose it entirely, but we're going to take the hands behind us, fingertips pointing forward, and arch the spine looking up. Probably we lose that drawing in of the belly, but see, even here, if you can feel the same thing, so it's possible. You find the back bend, and then again, you do exactly the same. You draw the lower belly in and maybe slightly up, and you draw the pelvic floor up to meet that. And then bring yourself to upright and just take it the other way, walking the hands forward, take a stretch, breathing into the back of the body. So usually we come into a shape and then we focus on breathing fully. So we're still going to do that. But also when you reach your shape, just see if you can feel what it's like to connect to mula bandha, uddiyana bandha. At least mula bandha. If you activate mula bandha, the pelvic floor, the perineum, then actually you can't help but activate uddiyana bandha even slightly. but relax, very relaxed about it. It's very subtle, no big effort here. And then walking the hands back in. I'm going to come down onto our backs, so just find your way down. Have a block handy, brick. And just bend your knees, have the feet on the floor, your brick is close by. And just take a moment here, you can rest your hands on the belly, maybe in that downward pointing triangle position. And just, again, we're just trying to really drop our awareness into this focus area of the body. One of the key areas of containment, inner strength, resource for our practice. And also grounding and calming the mind. And as we lie here, just actively press the lower back into the floor. So there's a natural arch in the right at the bottom of the spine. We're going to try and take that arch out of the spine and press down so that the back is flat. The lowest part of your back is flat on the floor, moving towards flat. And as you do that, you'll probably feel the front body activate. It's very subtle, but this is uddiyana bandha muscles, these deep transverse abdominals. At the same time, lift on your mula bandha. And just breathe. Great, and then inhale, stretch out. So reach the arms overhead. Take a nice big stretch. And then exhale, just draw your right knee in towards the chest, just hug it in. Mula bandha if you wish. Stretching out through the left foot. Inhale, extend out again. So leg extends, arms extend behind you. Exhale, left knee in towards the chest, hands come forward, hug it in. Pushing out through the right heel. Anchoring down through the back of the right heel. And also maybe the back, the lowest part of the back can be pressing down, or the sacrum can be pressing down to help you connect to the front body. Relax the face and the back. And inhale, stretch it all out. And then this time, we're going to lift both feet. So knees bent, both feet lift. We're going to take the block, slide it between the thighs, and give that block a squeeze. So we do this often to help us connect to these deep transverse abdominals. So you can take your arms out to the side in the cactus, the palms up and the elbows at right angle, or you can take the arms all the way out, palms down. Squeezing that block and activating the adductor muscles on the inner thigh, which connect to these deep transverse abdominals. See if you can feel that kind of fire in the lower belly. And then we're going to take these core twists. So working with your core, not momentum. We're going to inhale at the center and exhale, take the knees over to the right. Keep squeezing the block. Inhale to the center. Exhale, knees over to the left. Keep squeezing the block. Inhale, center. So try to isolate the movement in the lower body so your upper back stays glued to the floor here. If you're tired, if your energy is low, you can forget all the mula bandha activation and just do what you can if you need. No problems. Everything is always an invitation. So you can just keep your awareness in this area of the body without any physical activation. So we're just keeping going here with the breath. Great. And we're squeezing that block. Next time we come up to the center from the left, we're going to keep the block between the thighs and just extend the legs up to the ceiling. Reach the arms overhead. So we're in that capital L shape, but we're squeezing the block, flexing the feet, legs strong here. Great. And then bend the knees, release the block, just hug both knees into the chest. Maybe hands around the front of the shin or the back of the knees. And just release the pelvic floor here, release the belly. So we need to know how to activate these muscles and also how to quickly release them as well when we're resting. So resting posture here, deep belly breaths, feel the pelvic floor spreading and releasing. I'm just going to do a twist before we come off our back. So keep the right knee where it is, extend that left leg again. hug that right knee in, and then you can extend your right arm out. We're going to use the left hand to draw the right knee across the body over to the left. So my right foot staying on the left leg, but you might want to release it down to the floor or onto a block or a bolster. So don't over twist because we're just warming up. Look over your right shoulder if that feels okay in your neck. Breathe deep. So we can start to feel into postures. Is this a releasing posture where I kind of want to relax these deep muscles, or is it an active posture? So this actually could be either. At this stage of the class, if it was at the end of the class, definitely releasing. Breathe deep. So you could have a subtle activation of mula bandha and uddiyana bandha here. Just exploring what it feels like in each shape. How easy it is to make that connection. And then slowly rolling back to the center, release the feet to the floor, centralize the spine and the pelvis, extend the right leg, hug the left knee in towards the chest, really extending out through the right heel. And then when you're ready, taking it into the twist, so left arm extends in line with the shoulder, right hand draws the left knee across the body, over towards the right, maybe keeping the left foot on the right foot, right leg, or releasing it to the floor. Breathing deep here. Again, you could explore just a really subtle awareness of the bandhas and what that feels like in this lower back belly twist. Check you're not frowning with the concentration that this requires. Relax the face and the jaw. Deep Ujjayi breath. And then drawing that lower belly in. So we use that cue, that's uddiyana bandha. Seat, come back to the center, place the feet down, centralize through the body. And then when you're ready, we're just going to come up towards our hands and knees. So just roll yourself up, press yourself up. Okay, and we're going to cat cow, but with this same awareness. So it's like we're tethering the breath to the pelvic floor, seated mula bandha. So as you inhale into the cow, lifting the tailbone, feel like you're really spreading and relaxing the pelvic floor. And as you exhale, feel like you're initiating the movement from activating mula bandha, into that lift at the center of the perineum. And then again, we inhale, we release and relax. Spread the pelvic floor. Exhale, we start it with that lift of mula bandha and then move into the cat from there. Okay, so just keep your awareness in the pelvic floor as you cat cow, just a different way of doing the movement. So you activate, contract on the cat, release the pelvic floor on the cat. And also tethering this to the breath, of course. Okay, at the end of your next exhale, just pause. We're just going to move into sun salutations gradually. So simple vinyasa. Inhale on the hands and knees. Exhale, Ashtangasana, chin in the chest, down in front of the hands. Inhale, legs out behind you to baby cobra. Exhale, release the forehead down. Inhale, press yourself up to tabletop. Exhale, tuck the toes, downward dog. Take a couple of breaths in downward dog. Find mula bandha, uddiyana bandha here. Can you feel the hollowness of the lower belly? And then once again, we're going to inhale, take the knees down to tabletop. Exhale, chin in the chest, down in front of the hands. Inhale, legs out behind you, cobra. Exhale, press yourself up to tabletop and back to downward dog. And take a couple of breaths. And we'll do that one more time. So last time, inhale, knees down, tabletop. Exhale, Ashtangasana, chin in the chest down. Inhale, bring yourself into baby cobra. Exhale, lower the head. Sorry, I forgot that last time. Inhale, press up to tabletop, exhale to downward dog. Okay, and if your energy is low, you can take child's pose, no problem. In fact, let's all just bring the knees down, wide with the big toes touching, and sink the hips onto the heels for a wide knee child's pose. Release the head. Let this be a more releasing posture. So you can maybe explore what's it like to connect with my pelvic floor here, activate, but then just let it go, just relax and spread the pelvic floor. So we can't effectively build strength in the pelvic floor until we've learned to relax and release. And let it soften, breathe from your belly, relaxing the belly. So feel how your belly's relaxed, your pelvic floor's relaxed, but when we start to transition and move, this is exactly when we want to engage our bandhas. So before you move, just again, draw up on the pelvic floor, the lower belly, and then move back up to tabletop. So transitions, we definitely want to use the bandhas. Tuck the toes, bring the knees in, downward dog. Find that connection again. We're in an active posture now. Or you can stay in child's pose and just be with that relaxing, spreading. Hollow belly. And then at the end of your exhale, look forward, walk or step with the bandhas active, feet forward towards the hands, feet underneath the hips, forward fold, knees can be as bent as you like here, relaxing the neck. Bring your hands to your hips, take a nice deep bend in the legs, press yourself up, bring yourself up to stand. We're going to flow through some sun salutations. Again, just tune into your body. It's too much. Give it. Okay, so starting at the front of the mat, Tadasana. Before we start to move, let's, in this posture, connect to our bandhas, one of the kind of most fundamental yoga postures. So drop the tailbone. That in itself helps you connect to these deep transverse abdominals, and there's that subtle lift on the pelvic floor. And just breathing here, connecting to your Ujjayi breath. Again, your lower belly stable, so your chest breathing, if possible. And then on your inhale, raise the hands, try to keep everything switched on. Exhale, forward fold. As best you can, keep bandhas switched on. Inhale, look up. Exhale, step the feet back to the plank. Definitely want to use that core here. Inhale. Exhale, knees down or off. Ashtangasana or Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, cobra or back bend. You'll probably lose the connection there. And exhale, back to downward dog. So we'll pause in downward dog, and it will be a chance for you to reconnect. But eventually, we can be so attuned to this part of our body that we can stay connected even when we move quite quickly between different shapes. And that's when it's really helpful, the transition. Okay, so we'll do the best we can through the salutations. And then at the end of your next exhale, look forward, walk, step, or jump the feet forwards. Connect to the bandhas, especially if you're jumping. Inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Rest through the feet. Inhale, raise the hands. Exhale, hands to the side. We'll just take an extra breath between rounds so that once again you've got this chance to connect in to this area of focus. On your next inhale, raise the hands, try to keep Mula Bandha switched on. Exhale, keep it switched on as you forward fold. Inhale, keep it switched on as you look up. Exhale, keep it switched on as much as you can as you transition to the plank, and then find it again as you inhale. Exhale, lower knees on or off the floor, keep it switched on. Inhale, try to keep it switched on here, and the back bend will be tricky. And exhale, back to downward dog. And if you've lost it,
Don't worry, here's your chance to reconnect. Lifting on the pelvic floor, drawing the lower belly back and up. If this is a really challenging class for you, if you're not feeling that connection, don't worry. Just do the best you can. Holding your awareness in this part of the body is a starting point. Start to build a connection here. Takes time. Slow, deep breaths. Keeping the belly stable if you can. And at the end of the exhale, look forward, walk, step, jump with awareness if you can. The bandhas, inhale, look up with mula bandha on, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, raise the hands above the head, look up. Exhale, return to Tadasana. And again, if you've lost the connection, just give yourself a moment here to reconnect, and whatever that means for you, just dropping your awareness down. And then last round, inhale, taking it up. Keeping switched on in Mula Bandha, exhale, fold, keep it switched on. Inhale, look up and lengthen, keep it switched on, exhale. Step or jump back to the plank, inhale, super switched on, exhale, lower, super switched on. Inhale, back bend, don't worry if you lose it here. Exhale, downward dog. Reconnect. Feel like you're wrapping this fleshy corset to gently squeeze the spine. And we feel lighter in our bodies when we learn to work with the physical seat of our bandhas. And at the end of your exhale, look forward, walk, step, jump with the bandhas if you can. Inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, raise the hands, stretch up. Exhale, return to Tadasana. And again, just a chance to reconnect. Breathe with awareness in this part of the body. Feel like the lower belly is not moving too much. So the breath is in the thoracic cavity. Couple more slow, deep ujjayi breaths here. Stabilizing in your deep core. Okay, we're going to go straight into a balance from here. So we're going to transition from the heel to the buttock to the knee to the chest on each side. Okay, so first of all, leaning into the left foot, pick up your right foot, hold it with the right hand, squeeze the heel to the buttock. If you can, take the left hand back as well, and drop the right knee back in line with the left knee. So when we balance, really helpful to have this awareness. So once again, once we make the shape, we bring our awareness back to this focus area of the body. And then again, for transitions, it's super helpful to connect to your pelvic floor, to your deep transverse abdominals as best you can. As you then bring the knee in front of you, take hold of the front of the shin or the back of the knee and squeeze it in towards the chest. Lifting up through the spine, drawing the shoulders back and down, pressing down through the left heel to open the back of the left knee. And notice what's happened to your pelvic floor. Have you lost connection? It's fine, but just try and bring it. And exhale, release. So it's really helpful for balancing. Other side. So when you're ready, feeling the right leg strong, connecting to your pelvic floor, and bring the left heel up to the buttock. Often we lose it when we're not used to it in the transition. This is fine and normal, but over time, we'll be able to have it for more of the transition, the connection. Squeeze the heel to the buttocks, drop the left knee down next to the right knee. And then once we've found the shape, then we can kind of revisit, if we wish, pelvic floor, lower belly drawing back. And this can be very subtle. And then again, switch that on, keep the connection as best you can as we bring the knee in front. Don't worry if you lose it in transition, it's normal. And then find it again once you've got the knee to the chest, holding the front of the shin or the back of the knee, pressing down through the right heel bone, extending up through the crown of the head. One more breath. And exhale, release. Put that foot down. Good. We're going to step to the wide edge of the mat. And we're just going to do a bit of a flow where the legs aren't going to move. Okay, so we're going to have a nice wide stance, turn the left foot in and the right foot out. So we're coming into the warrior two position here. And we'll come to warrior two. So reach the hands out. Now the pelvic floor spreading here. But even here, it's a strong posture. So we want to be connected to our powerhouse. So can we lift up the center of the perineum, that gentle feeling of lifting? Can we draw the lower belly back? So we just feel we've got something holding this very expansive posture together at its center. Obviously, our legs are super involved as well, pressing out through the little toes of the left foot, heel of the right foot, pressing down. But we want to focus on the core here, pelvic floor. Now we're going to go into a flow, but try to keep this level of integrity in the legs going. So we're going to inhale here, exhale, bring the right elbow to the thigh and the left hand over. Inhale, coming back, try not to lose that connection. Exhale, reverse warrior, left hand to left leg, right hand. We're going to do this 3 times. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, right elbow to right thigh, left arm up and over. Inhale, back to warrior two. Exhale, reverse warrior. Have you lost connection? Bring it back if you can. Inhale, warrior two, last round. Exhale, right elbow to thigh, left arm over. Inhale, back to warrior two. Exhale, reverse warrior. Inhale, warrior two. Just pause for another couple of breaths here. Lift up on that pelvic floor. Draw the lower belly back in. Use your high breath. Well done. And then straighten the right leg. Whew. And we'll change sides. So if you need to bring the legs together first and then open them wide again, do. So now we turn right foot in, left foot all the way out, hips forward. Inhale here. Exhale, bend that left knee. And let's just take a moment again to establish the posture. So pressing actively out through the little toe edge of the right foot, heel of the left foot. And then again, bring your awareness to our powerhouse, that lifting up and lifting back of uddiyana bandha, meeting in that deep pelvic bowl. And then we're going to inhale, warrior two. Exhale, side angle, left elbow on thigh, right arm over. Inhale, back to warrior two. Exhale, reverse warrior, right hand to thigh, left arm back. Connect your pelvic floor. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, elbow to thigh. Find the side stretch. Inhale, warrior two. Have you lost connection? Exhale, reverse warrior. Last round. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, reverse warrior. Inhale, warrior two. Hold for another couple of breaths. Keep that connection if you can here. Your powerhouse. Harnessing, cultivating prana. And then at the end of your next breath, straighten the left leg, turn the left foot forwards. You need to bring the legs together for a moment and widen them again, and do. If you're happy to stay wide, stay wide. We're going to forward fold, and we're going to again do it with the same focus. Okay, so postures we do all the time, but we're just taking this different point of awareness. So before we fold forward, hands on the hips, maybe closing the eyes can often help us connect it. So once again, the pelvic floor is spreading a bit here, the legs are wide, so it can be trickier to find that activation, that lift. Okay, so we're going to try to find that during the lower belly back. We're going to inhale, look up, maybe lose it for a moment here because it's back bend, and then exhale, forward fold. Trying to keep connection as we transition. Release the hands to the floor, drop the head. Once you find the shape, maybe then you can find that sense of hollowing out in the lower belly again. Maybe it's easier once we become more static to hone in on this part of the body and find some muscle activation. So we're working with the physical seat of the bandhas. In the most gross way we can work with the bandhas. Gross as in obvious, tangible, as opposed to subtle. So it's like a starting point. Breathing deep. The lower belly should feel kind of hollow. The belly bellows like chest, breathing fully, thoracic breathing. Now from here, we're going to straighten the arms and look kind of forward, reach the hands out, bring the hands forward so they're kind of underneath the shoulders. So your torso is parallel to the floor here. Really activate your bandhas. And if we can, we're going to reach the arms forward. This is really strong work, so you need to support this at your core. If you need to bend the knees, do. Okay, and then inhale, coming up, strong work. Exhale, release the hands down. And now you can bring the feet together. Let's have a quick look at the time. Okay, so I think we can move towards the floor. I would like us to do one more balance, just because I do find this sort of awareness very helpful for balancing. So we'll just do tree. I feel like I haven't done tree for ages. So feeling the strength in the left leg. Once again, can we connect to our focus area as we bring the left hand to the hip? We'll probably lose the connection as we transition, but maybe not. But once you're in the position, bringing the right heel to the inner left thigh or calf, not the knee, and bring the palms together. Once we're in position, we can then again find that stability, lifting on the pelvic floor. And you can stay here and just focus on your pelvic bowl area, or inhale, raise the hands up. Exhale, open the hands as wider than the shoulders, drawing your shoulders down as you lift the pelvic floor up. You draw the lower belly back towards the spine and you breathe fully. And then inhale, palms together. Exhale, hands to the chest. Inhale here. Try to keep the connection as you exhale, release the foot down, hands back to the side, Tadasana. If you lost connection, once you're in Tadasana, it's a posture, reconnect, ready for the next side. Well done. Okay, so right side, connect in. Try to keep the connection as best you can as you lift that left foot up. Don't worry if you lose it. Once we come to the posture, heel to the inner thigh, palms touch at the center of the chest. Then again, we can feel this part of the body active. And then stay here or take the hands up. Inhale, raise the hands. Exhale, open. And once we're in the posture, again, connect. Big, deep breaths. I actually find it easier to breathe fully with the bandha switched on somehow. Really stretching and opening the rib cage, the muscles between the ribs with the breath. And then on an inhale, bring the palms together. On an exhale, bring the hands to the center of the chest. Inhaling here, last chance to connect. Exhale, release. Back to Tadasana. Just try, now you're in Tadasana, just close the eyes and try to find that connection with your awareness without any physical activation. So this is where we're moving towards eventually, is connecting with the energy locks more on our subtle energetic body. So because we've been really focusing it in the physical, it might be easier for you to have a sense of some kind of energetic experience in this area. No expectations, but just drop your awareness there without needing to activate any muscles. Maybe you feel a kind of aliveness, a buzzing, warmth, tingling in the pelvic bowl, in the pelvic floor. And if you don't, just the act of seeking, of opening, curiously opening to sensation here helps you build this connection. And so we're going to come down to the floor. We're going to come onto our bellies. Lie down from here if you wish, otherwise we'll do one more vinyasa down, so standing at the front of the mat. Inhale, raising the hands, maybe staying connected to the bandhas. Exhale, forward fold, stay connected. Inhale, look up, follow the belly. Exhale, downward dog. Take a breath or two here just to give you that another chance to again hollow the belly. And then we'll come down to the floor, so you can come by the plank and lower, or you can come by tabletop and lower, but come all the way down onto your belly. And just take a moment to arrive here, just maybe resting the forehead on the back of the hands. And just as you lie here, just lift up the right foot and stretch the right foot back and place it down at full length. Do the same on the left side, lift it up, stretch it back, place it down at full extension. We get a couple of extra centimeters out of our legs usually. This is all creating space in the pelvic bowl area, the hinge of the body. And then from here, we're going to just come into the Sphinx. So gentle back bend, elbows under the shoulders. And we're going to explore again, trying to find this connection in a back bend. So I'm going to change my screen. Feel your front body stretching here. We're in a back bend. So it's quite difficult to connect to our deep core, but we're going to have a go. So we press the pubic bone down a little bit into the mat, and we can lift up on the pelvic floor. The thing that's hard is the uddiyana bandha, but if we press the pubic bone down into the mat, we are contracting on a subtle level these deep postural muscles. Try to relax the buttocks. And just see if you can feel that in your body. And there is an activation of the deep core, even here. And again, if you don't feel these things, absolutely fine. Just hold your awareness as best you can in this area of the body. Breathing deep. Very gentle, subtle pelvic floor activation here. If you wish for the last few breaths to come higher, then the hands out, press through to lift up higher. Let's do the same kind of awareness here of seeing if you can keep pressing the pubic bone down and keeping the pelvic floor active. Maybe feeling this kind of lift of the belly away from the mat, back towards the spine. This is going to help the back bend be safer. Help prevent injury in the lower back when we learn to use our core, even in the back bend. And then exhale, lower down. And just bring the hands to the side, turn a cheek to the floor, and just really relax the pelvic floor or the belly here. So just allow your belly to soften into the support of the mat. Allow the pelvic floor to soften and spread. Release. And then we're going to just take that pelvic floor release posture. So bring the hands into cactus shape with the palms down. So your elbows in line with the shoulders. You're turning to the left. We're just going to we're going to slide the left knee up towards the left elbow. So your left foot's kind of flexed-ish, and your inner left ankle is on the floor. And you just slide that knee up. If this just doesn't feel comfortable for you for any reason, then just skip this, stay with the legs extended, and just practice releasing the pelvic floor. But if you are comfortably in this position, just relax the body and just know that this is stretching the left half of your pelvic floor. So it's helping support a release in your pelvic floor. And just relax into that. And then we'll just slide that left leg back down to where it came from, if you move. And we'll turn our cheek to face the other way. So we'll turn to face the right and just do the same. Just slide your right knee up towards the right elbow. So your inner right ankle ends up on the floor. And then we stretch the right side of the pelvic floor. So we're still releasing, relaxing, softening the pelvic floor. Softening the belly into the support of the floor. And then sliding the right leg back down. We're going to come back up. So take your hands underneath your shoulders, press yourself up, come back to a child's pose. And if you want to, again, take that wide knee child's pose to support, again, the release of the pelvic floor. And that's could be a really nice option here, or knees together if that's better. Perhaps arms outstretched for a couple of breaths at least. Stretch the spine. Relax the pelvic floor, breathe from the belly here. Full expansion of the belly as you inhale. Okay, and then maybe just connect to the pelvic floor as you then transition to walk the knees back in. So we feel that activation again, nice and gentle. We're going to come and sit down, so take a seat and come into Janu Shirshasana. So find your way to having your left leg outstretched and the sole of your foot to the inner left thigh. And if available, bring that right heel all the way in. So again, there's a kind of a, might not work for all of you, but there's some of us, we might be able to find the physical contact between the heel and the groin, literally labia, lips. It's like really up close and personal, but that's what we need because Mula Bandha is really, really internal and personal. So we're just beginning to work with it. So if you can find that physical contact, great. If you can't, no worries. We're going to inhale, stretch up, and we're going to exhale, take the hands forward. And if possible, you're going to find the foot. So right heel's as close in as possible. And we're going to try and find the hands to the foot. So you might need to bend the knee here to do that. We're going to hold the foot. If you can, you're going to put the left hand, so the big toes touch the inner wrist and the palm touches the sole, and the right hand on top. Okay, just do what you can here. If you can't find the foot, just hands on the shins, fine. And you're going to try and draw the chin in towards the chest. And this is Bandha. If we from here connect to our pelvic floor, connect to drawing our lower belly in, and start to draw the chin towards the chest. This is a mudra, an ancient yoga mudra, which is all to do with activating the three primary bandhas. Do what you can. Breathe fully. Ujjayi breath if you know it. And at the end of your next exhale, look up. Between sides, we're going to take Baddha Konasana. So we're going to bring the left foot to join the right foot. And again, maybe just bring the hands behind you and see how close towards the heels you can get. You're probably not going to get a contact here, but we're just doing what we can to bring the heel. Eventually, this posture does become a contact posture, but we're probably not there yet in this life. But we peel open the soles of the feet to the ceiling. We lift up through the spine. And what's lovely about this posture, when we were just on our belly, we were kind of stretching one side of the pelvic floor, then the other. This posture is stretching the pelvic floor entirely. So sit bones spreading. And we can just, like we did at the start, we can just first of all see if we can utterly release the belly of the pelvic floor. You might feel a bit less stable in the spine. And then from that place of release, just feel that gentle drawing up of the pelvic floor, that drawing in of the lower belly, and feel how the lower back hopefully just feels resourced, feels supported, that it's not carrying all the effort here. It's when we get, often when we get injured is when we don't use these deep internal muscles intelligently, when we move, lift, carry. So feel these deep muscles protecting and supporting the spine. But at the same time, we want to feel like we're relaxing and grounding and spreading the base of the body. So there's this really, this is when it can get very grounding and meditative, when we can focus on Mula Bandha, and that focus in itself is dropping our awareness in our pelvic floor. So we're focusing on grounding. And there's a subtle activation, but it doesn't lift our body away from the floor. Feels like a subtle lift, but there's also this dropping, spreading, grounding feeling. So you can kind of feel these two sides to Bandha work at the same time. Relax and spread and subtly activate. Don't forget the breath. One more deep Ujjayi breath here. Or just breathing through the nose. And then we're going to swap sides and come to Janu Shirshasana on the other side. So stretch your right leg forward. If you can, bring that left heel all the way back to make contact. Don't worry if it doesn't get there. Inhale, stretch the hands up. Exhale again. We're going for the foot if it's available. So we might need to bend the knee. And then if possible, we take the right wrist over the toes so the palm can touch the sole and the left hand comes on top of the right hand. And we inhale, lengthen, and we draw the chin towards the chest. So we're not so much folding down towards the knee in this version of the posture. Activate Mula Bandha, activate Uddiyana Bandha. And maybe some of you might get the base of the jaw, chin to meet the chest. This is Jalandhara Bandha, the chin lock. Otherwise, we're just moving towards that, drawing the chin in. Breathe deep and full. Ujjayi if you know it. Couple more breaths. Full breaths. And one more breath. And then release, coming up. Again, we're going to return to Baddha Konasana and just take a variation here. So maybe hands behind, drawing the hips forward. Again, taking hold of the outer edges of the feet, lifting up through the spine. Feel that spreading of the pelvic floor and that subtle lift, subtle drawing back of the lower belly. And then this time we're going to take the chin and the chest forward potentially, or stay upright. If you can, keep the elbows in, just take the chin and the chest forward. Spine stays straight. You don't need to go far forward at all. And then once you've gone to your level, see if you can again tune in to that subtle lift in the pelvic floor, that drawing of the lower belly back. You know, we're kind of safe in the lower back here. And then inhale to come up. And often after the coming forward, coming back up, you can feel much more grounded, feel that spreading of the pelvic floor. And this is one of my favorite postures to play with Mula Bandha in this way of feeling the grounding, spreading of the pelvic floor, this real like firm base, even within that, this subtle activation. So just play, explore what it's like for you. What's your experience of this? Can you feel that slight hollowing out of the belly so that you know you're supporting the spine here whilst keeping most of the pelvic floor relaxed? It's like we want to isolate the activation to a single point and the rest of the pelvic floor stays relaxed. Very subtle work. And then from here, we're going to release into Upavishta and just explore similar here. So legs nice and spread. We've been in this position already. Pelvic floor spreading. Can we again feel that spreading and that subtle lift? We're going to inhale, take the hands up. Exhale, take the hands forward and just come into as deep a stretch as you wish to go to this evening. Dropping the head. And as always, the invitation through this whole class is to, once you're in the shape, move your awareness back to the deep pelvic bowl. Just see what's going on in there. Are you drawing the lower belly in? Are you lifting on the pelvic floor? But are you still feeling grounded through the base of the pelvis? Deep breath. And then at the end of your next exhale, just bringing the hands back in. Well done. We're going to come onto our backs, so back bend. Okay, bring the hands behind the knees to draw the legs in. Let's just transition onto the floor using these core muscles in just a bit more of a superficial way. So have the knees bent, have the hands outstretched, and see if you can just use your deep core awareness, probably the six-pack muscles as well, to lower the spine, vertebra by vertebra. Try not to lift the feet off the floor until we allow the head and the shoulders to come down. And then once you're down, bring the heels into the buttocks. If you wish to work restoratively this evening with the back bend, use your brick on any of its height under the sacrum. Otherwise, we're going to come into Setu Bandhasana, so press down through the feet and the hands as we lift the hips. Rolling to one side, you can draw the opposite shoulder underneath, staying on the other side, and then interlace the hands beneath you. So we make this shape most classes. Can we find this awareness here and feel how it supports us in this posture? So even though we're in a back bend, the front opener, can we lift? Can we draw up on the pelvic floor? Can we feel like we're kind of extending the tailbone, dropping the tailbone, even though we're in a back bend, to engage the front body? So it's like we want to take that arch out of the lower back ever so slightly here, like we did when we were lying on the floor. Just explore. Can you get any sense of activation here? If you can, that's great. That's a really good sign. If you can't, no worries. Just trying is helping. One more deep breath, legs working hard. And then exhale, release yourself down from the upper back to the lower back. Place the sacrum down, move the shoulders back, just really release for a moment. Remember, when we're resting, there's a release, so just relax the belly, relax the pelvic floor. I'm going to invite one more back bend. You can do the same as we just did. If you're feeling ready and open, you could come into the wheel or the halfway house onto the top of your head with the hands under the shoulders. So freestyle back bend, or just rest on the floor, or you're still on your brick. Okay, so when you're ready, inhale yourself back up again, maybe interlacing the hands or coming into the wheel. And again, find that focus. See if you can relax the upper buttocks, draw up on the pelvic floor, like a slight tilt of the pelvis, almost up slightly, to take the deep curve out the lower back and connect the front body, even in the back bend. Legs strong, feel like you're squeezing that imaginary block. Awareness in the pelvic floor, the lower belly. And then when you're ready, slowly coming out, winding the spine down, upper back to lower back, relax the sacrum, move the shoulders back and release there. Really relaxing the belly, maybe taking the hands onto the belly again. Love that mudra, Shakti mudra, the downward pointing triangle in the lower belly, so that you breathe into that space that you're creating here, the space and the space beneath the hands, so that you can check you're relaxing the belly. You should feel the belly moving up and down now. When we're activating this area, belly doesn't move so much, the upper chest moves, but now we belly breathe and the belly moves a lot. Diaphragmatic breath. And you can almost stretch the tummy muscles with the deep inhale, and the pelvic floor is relaxing. And so we're just going to do different twists here. So starting with the windscreen wiper legs, so take the feet mat distance apart, arms can just come out slightly. And we're going to exhale the knees over to the right, inhale the knees to the center, exhale to the left, inhale center. You could have a really subtle connection, but we're moving into a releasing part of the class here. But we don't want any big muscular effort. Next time you come to the right, we're going to stay. You can extend your left arm out and look over your left shoulder. You can even pick up your right foot and rest it on the left thigh above the knee. That feels good. We'll keep it on the floor. Relax, belly, stretch the belly.
And then inhale back to the center. Exhale over to the left, keeping the feet wide, looking over your right shoulder, maybe picking up that left foot and anchoring it on the right thigh. And then release, coming back. So I'd really like us to try an inversion and feel this bandha activation, probably for the last time as when we're upside down. So you could take headstand, you could take shoulder stand, you could take the plow, or you can just simply put your block under your sacrum, or even just your hands under your sacrum with the palms down and lift the legs up, or take your legs up the wall. Okay, so freestyle inversion. If you don't have inversion in your practice, then just do the legs up the wall or the sacrum and the block, because I'm not guiding it this evening. I want the focus to be on again, the bandhas. So get yourself into what feels like a comfortable, safe inversion. And then, right, Nikki. And then one last time, what's it like to connect to our bandhas subtly now we're upside down? Does it help? Does it help you feel more relaxed? Very subtle activation at this stage. Just explore inner inquiry. Make sure you're breathing steadily, regularly, fully. And when you need to come out, ideally taking 10 breaths or so, but whenever you need to come out or feel to come out, just use that core connection to bring you down with control. If you're on your block, you can just bring the feet down, lift the hips, remove the block and bring the sacrum back down. Take your time. And when you're down, I know some of you are still up, that's fine, just take your time. But when you're down, let's just do one last little exercise of focus here. Once again, just bringing the heels in towards the buttocks and putting your hands on your belly. And let's just do that marble exercise. So we pretend we have a marble in the belly button and we roll that marble over towards the right hip bone by contracting the right side of the belly. We roll it up towards the ribs by contracting the upper abdominal muscles. We roll it over to the left hip bone and we roll it down towards the pubic bone. So nice kind of slow circles. And as we're doing this, we're trying to minimize the movement in the sacrum. So you'll feel yourself kind of rolling around the sacrum a little bit, like you're doing the tiniest little hip circle ever. It's normal. I think it's really hard to not move at all, but we minimize the movement of the back body so that we maximize the movement of the front body. We're trying to connect with our abdominals in a more subtle way, and then change direction. And press down on the left side of the abdominals to send the marble to the left hip bone, up towards the ribs, upper abdominals, over towards the right hip bone. So you'll feel yourself rolling around the sacrum, but very minimally, and down towards the pubic bone. This can be really, really subtle. We get more and more subtle the more we practice. And then just when you finish your next circle, just make sure you totally relax the belly, totally relax the pelvic floor. Take a couple of deep belly breaths here. And then just roll to one side and push yourself up to seated, nice and gently. We're just gonna, before we come down for our final stretches in Shavasana, we're just going to come back to a kind of seated meditation posture, which could be cross-legged, it could be kneeling, it could be on a bolster. Again, if possible, if you can find that heel to groin, pubic bone area, then great. And we're just going to
find that position where there's least effort to keep the spine upright. And once again, just know that our postural muscles are working here anyway, but just have that awareness that we're supporting the spine with our deep core intelligence. But we want to make that as minimal effort as possible. So we're going to try to feel both supported and relaxed. Dropping the tailbone, feeling a kind of spreading of the lower body, of the pelvis, of the pelvic floor, without losing that sense of being resourced internally. This is a really fine art, a fine balance. And when we find that sweet spot of release and activation, there's a lightness, there's a rightness and lightness in the body. Relax the jaw. And I'm going to stop talking, just give you a few moments in peace here. Maybe you want to do 5 to 10 full deep ujjayi breaths. Maybe you just want to sit in quiet inner listening. Just being with yourself for a moment. And in your own time, the eyes are closed, just blinking the eyes open, and just find your way back to your back again, back onto the floor. And before Shavasana, I recommend one final twist and a happy baby. So again, just lifting the knees and letting the knees drop over to the right, letting the left arm extend, anchoring that left thigh down, looking over your left shoulder. And we're really releasing that. So the belly's relaxed, the pelvic floor's relaxed. Relax your jaw and your face. Breathe deep and slow. And draw that lower belly in. And come back to the center. Plant the feet or just take the knees straight over to the other side. Look over your right shoulder, maybe left hand anchors right thigh down. Deep breaths. Belly relaxed. Pelvic floor spreading, jaw releasing. And then reconnect to your lower belly, your pelvic floor as you roll back to the center. Plant the feet to centrally align
Happy baby, which is another great position for stretching and opening, relaxing, releasing the pelvic floor. So sit bones move away from each other, knees towards the armpits. Breathe, open, relax, release. Especially when we've been working a lot with activating the seated mula bandha, we also want to make sure we finish with total release and relaxation. That's super important, so we don't build chronic tension. We learn to activate at will and release at will. Okay, and then when you're ready, Shavasana, maybe you want to just draw the knees together for one last hug, but then transition your way into Shavasana. That you're centrally aligned, warm, supported. And just as you settle into Shavasana, just for the very last time, I'm going to bring your awareness to this focus area of the pelvic bowl, the lower belly, the pelvic floor, and just notice any sensations there. Again, like maybe a sense of aliveness, of awakening even, of tingling. Where we put our attention, where attention goes, prana flows. So we've really put a lot of awareness in this area, and it will be responding with sensation. Just tune in, and then let that go, let everything go. Just become still and quiet and relaxed. And if you wish to stay longer, please do. And otherwise, finishing with me at the end of the class, just deepening your breath. Bringing small movements back when you're ready, fingers, toes, head. And stretching out your body, your knees to chest. And just gradually coming back to seated, maybe rolling to one side to press yourself up. And just take that moment to just close the class. So maybe palms together, Namaste Mudra or Anjali Mudra. And just feel your inner strength, your inner support, your inner resources. And just making that commitment, intention to make the most of these. This is there for us, our deep core intelligence, our energetic locks, physical locks. Just connecting with those one last time in gratitude, and gratitude to yourself for taking this time to go on this journey of deepening connection with your body. It's a gift to yourself. And when you're ready, start opening the eyes. Thank you for sharing practice. Namaste.